Welcome back, Redemption Builders. We hope that you are taking care of yourself and taking care of your family during this time of pandemic and civil unrest. We also pray that you are spending time with your loved ones, seizing the day, cherishing the opportunities that you have to be still at different points, telling the loved ones that you love them, really just not being in a hurry to get back to the busyness of life or the busyness of work and being scattered all the time. Be intentional during this time. So we pray that's your intention during this time. But let's get to the lesson. Today, we are talking about communication. Communication we're going to talk about in 4 areas: verbal, nonverbal, written, and listening. Communication is a very important skill. It's a skill that you are assumed to have when you enter the workforce, but also enter leadership positions. But it's not natural. It's not a common sense type of skill. It's a skill that really takes practice and training to develop well. And you'll also learn in this lesson that sometimes there's disjunction in communication between cultures and also between just individuals. So first, verbal communication. Verbal communication is you verbalizing how you feel, verbalizing the thoughts in your heads. This is probably the prominent version of communication that we all are familiar with. It's your words. It's using your words to express yourself, using your words to de-escalate situations, using your words to reason with people, using your words as your voice at the polls, or using your words as a voice at a protest. That's verbal communication. So we all are very familiar with that. It's kind of the tip of the iceberg, but then these others lie beneath the surface. Nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is your facial gestures, your facial cues, your hand gestures, your body language. A lot of that is developed at your home and developed in your culture. And sometimes you don't even know about it, and sometimes you are unaware of what your body language or your nonverbal communication speaks. But you have to be aware, because most of us work in diverse situations or diverse places. And with that being said, you have to be able to speak to different people and speak their language, so to speak. Or if you're speaking to an audience and you're speaking to lots of different people from lots of different cultures, you have to be able to use body language that really meets their needs, or nonverbal communication that meets their needs. So be aware of that. Nonverbal communication. You can learn about it here, just listening to me, but you can also learn about it by just doing a little reading. There's tons of evidence of how to have effective body language or effective nonverbal communication. Third, written communication. Your writing. So we've already talked about speaking, and we have also talked about nonverbal, but writing, emails, thank you notes, your resume, your cover letter. Written communication is very important, and it gets minimized. Some schools teach writing a resume, and some schools even teach your physical handwriting. I don't have good handwriting, so usually I type. But your writing and how you subject-verb agreement, do you write like you speak, or do you write where it makes sense? Do you spell check? And written communication is very important, really as important as the other two, as verbal and nonverbal communication, because sometimes you are judged based off those things. And not saying that you are trying to please everybody, but you are trying to be the consummate professional and the consummate leader when you enter the workforce. So I'm trying to give you skills that really everybody doesn't have when they enter the workforce. Some cultures have more than others, but written communication. And then lastly, the often forgotten about part of communication, which is listening. A lot of times we consider communication to be talking. Even in the faith, a lot of times we say we're praying to God, which is a conversation with God. But a lot of times we only talk. We don't ever sit and listen. So the underappreciated part about communication is listening. And listening really is what creates communication. It's the other side of communication that really gives you that level of confidence in that person. You get an understanding of what they're saying. And we also are talking about an understanding. I think Stephen Covey talks about seeking to understand before you seek to be understood. And really with verbal communication, a lot of times we are seeking to be understood. We don't necessarily care to seek an understanding from other people. And that's a problem. If we don't get an understanding of other people, what they are saying, what their body language is saying, what's going on in their life, we will come off as insensitive, disconnected, and various other things, because we really will only be enforcing our agenda upon other people. And nobody appreciates that. So listening is very important. I like to say in some of my circles that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Talkative people need to sometimes zip it a little bit more and listen more. But very quiet people might need to push themselves to talk, because other people want to hear them. Other people want to connect with how they're feeling, and they're not just reading their body language. They want to hear it. So that's our lesson. Communication, a very, very important skill or characteristic that leaders must have. Even kids are expected to have these same things. So it's important that we develop this. So we'll close with our Redemption Builders mantra. I respect myself. I respect others. I influence every environment that I'm in. Thank you. We'll see you next week.